What should we do with the drunken sailor? What should we do with the drunken sailor? What should we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Bum, 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 bum. So we have a new baby in the family, and so I'm going to make something for the parents and the baby. So I thought about where they lived. So we have Fish Island in London, and Fish Island is a great name and has a good history as well. And decorative crafts, wood carving, metalwork, ceramics, hand-painted signs, this is the pub trade, ornate boats, whimsical, hand-painted motifs, driftwood sculpture, and then I think about new beginnings. So we have Splash, the Great Wave of Kanagawa, if I said that correctly, carry the baby to the Fish Islands, or the Great Wave, yeah, carrying the baby to Fish Islands, maybe. Also the use of texture, nice and raw, energy, small fry, bit small fry. Canals, artist studios, quick characters in Fish Island. And then I thought about, look at the pub sign. So put pub sign and new baby in the middle. So we have the Great Wave, the Splash, small fry, the baby and Fish Island. And then this is sort of a map of Fish Island, the shape. For most part, it's surrounded by canals and the River Lee. Then I thought, maybe do a pub sign. And then I can maybe stick on all sorts of materials for a fish. And we call it the baby's name there. So, and those little mirrored squares, maybe put that on so it's really nice. So here we go. So I'm working a bit more on this, sorry. And then we have, the small fry. I quite like the small fry. And then the three fish, so represents the parents and the baby. So a small one in the middle. And so I'm playing around with this. Maybe that could be one material, another material, and the small fry could be a mixture of both. Then I thought about the shape of the island itself, and maybe I can carry it, have blue and, that sort of thing. Then I played around with the shape. And I must admit, it's a tricky shape to use. Now, this is what I found. Let's put this away a minute. And about at least 10 years ago, I bought this. I'm going to have to lift the camera a little bit. This is what I bought. And have I ever, well, I tried using it. I tried doing some transfer on there, but it didn't work that well, as you can see. But I figured the small fry, so I just did that freehand. Then I have one fish there, a little fish there, and a bigger fish there. And underneath, I'm going to put Fish Island in a slightly different font. And maybe I will paint this blue, bluey green. And maybe at the top here, I'll put bubbles, maybe. But first things first, I've got to think about painting, how I'm going to paint it. So let's get started. So I've decided to begin with white paints. And the paints I'm using are acrylics. And what I'm going to do is just fill all the outlines, the pencil outlines, with the white paint. And at this point here, I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to do an outline. I still haven't decided. And if I am going to do an outline to these letters, what colour they be. I'm also wondering, shall I do a background paint? A background colour? But I've got the basic plan at this point here, and I'm just going to see how it works out. So there we have it all finished there, the small fry. Now, if you see the fish are actually facing the other way, in my sketchbook I had them all going in the opposite direction. The reason I'm facing the other way is because that the Y on the fry, it almost looks like a fishing hook. So I thought, oh no, that's a bit sinister, you know, having, you know, I just didn't want that, so I had them going in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to check out all these blues and some greens as well. Some of my paints are really old, and so I'm pretty much trying to avoid buying any new paints. So I'm going to play around and see the best colour. But first of all, I've got to get the upper limit of the blue colour. And this colour here that I'm using, I can't remember the name of it, but it proves to be the best colour for the water. I don't often get my T-square out, but sometimes it's very, very useful. Just trying to even things out. So here we are, starting to fill the blue in. I'm just doing approximate letter and just want to make sure that the spacing is correct. I'm still not decided at this point how precise I'm going to be, whether indeed I'm going to do outlines on that lettering too.
Now, the pictures that you see there, I've got a few pictures of fishes that you find locally in the River Lee in particular. And I did remember what this is called. I think this is called, oh my word, I can't remember. Not perch, lurch. Perch, it's perch, yeah. And so I'm sort of making them a little bit like perch because it has some pretty orange colour in it. In fact, that was the only thing I had to buy in terms of what colours I had available. And because it's quite an orangey red and it just matched it nicely. So here we are, just doing all 3 fish. Get as much white as possible, but also I've used a bit of water to water it down because I know that I'm going to be using more than one layer. I just want to get the paint down. I've just do a little bit more now. And here comes the green. So I have put a little bit of green already. I tested it and it seems to be nice. So I'm going to have the variation in the water. So it gets a bit greener at the bottom and the bluer is at the top. Plus that green is a nice background to what the colour of the lettering is going to be. Fish Island. Here we go, doing the fish, the perch. I suppose it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be slightly recognisable and slightly realistic as well. My imagination is not so much that I can just make up a fish. I need to look at a real fish and then adjust it if necessary. Okay, so I'm just doing some more of the fish using the black, slightly watered down in parts. Or then I might dry the paintbrush a little bit and just dab on some neater paint. Now I'm just, at this point, I'm hunting around for any paints that aren't dried up or empty. Not entirely sure what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go along. But I am looking for reds, as you can see, and they are. I just don't have the red I want. But I do try something at this point. As you will see. There it goes. Right, I've decided to use a very dark grey. I know it looks kind of black, but I added a little bit of white just at the edge of it a little bit. At this point, I just paint down on the edges down to the top of the blue line. And it gave me time to think about if I wanted to extend the blue of the water off to the sides of the frame as well. I'm loving the effects of the colours. Now, okay, you saw me painting this sort of red colour, but I didn't like it. It wasn't as true as I wanted it to be. So that was the only paint I needed to actually buy, was that orangey red colour. And it's definitely a more authentic, more lifelike. So it's a nice orangey red. I get one of the brushes and I try to dry it off a little bit, then put neat paints onto the brush and just dab it. It gives a nice effect. So super duper zoom ahead. I ran out of space on my phone. So as you can see, I decided to paint black all around the frame. And I used the yellow that I used for Fish Island was the lemon based one. I don't know, I just preferred it. It just resonated a bit better with the rest of the colours. And here I am just tidying up, putting several layers down. And as you can see, the lower fish as well, I've completed that. So I didn't want to make them identical, but similar. And as you can see, the middle fish is still unfinished at this point. And I think it's worth mentioning that at this point, I still haven't decided how I want to finish this off. But I do actually end up leaving it just like this, the writing. I think there's it has its own sort of beauty, sometimes just leaving it raw and not so polished. Okay, yeah, did you see that? I squeezed the white paint straight onto the picture, I think. Sometimes it works really well just to spread it around. And I made the baby fishes kind of brighter than everything else, given that the theme of this picture is the small fry. I am still wondering how I'm going to finish this fish off even now. The mirror ideas, I just couldn't find them anywhere in the house. But I did find these little diamante crystals, which is what I'm going to pull out in a minute. Oh, yeah, I painted it there. Yeah, again, I ran out of space on my phone, so it jumped a little bit. And then I am busy creating the little fish in the middle. And there we are. So I decided on a certain size of this, and I didn't realise actually, it comes in one strip, so you just peel it off and then just very carefully put it down. Just deciding which one is better. I'm going to go for... And I'm not going to run it at the top, I'm going to run it slightly lower into the body of the fish there. And honestly, this was first try, and I had no idea it was going to adhere so strongly. So there we go. And just the right length. There we go. The small fry. all glittery. That is finished. And here we are. It's so pretty. And I very much hope that the recipients of this really like it. I'm really pleased with it too. Thanks for watching.